Hey everyone, it is I, DPX. Welcome back to the channel. And it's another ranking, my final ranking for last year. And now we're just gonna move forward. Today I'm ranking every show I saw from 2024. So, yeah, I saw quite a few shows in 2024. So your tiers are S, A, B, C, D, E, F, and how do I rank these? We'll get to those. You know, I'm not entirely sure how to rank them. Like, maybe some of them didn't have, like, the entire season come out, you know, whatever the case may be. Okay, but yeah, let's just start. Today, starting with, Agatha All Along. This was a show I meant to review, but I just never got around to it. But, yeah, this is a really solid show. I wasn't that excited for it because it was like, this felt like, you know, content for content's sake. Like, Agatha was a cool character in WandaVision, but I never wanted an entire show about her. I didn't think we needed it. But I think this tells an interesting story, you know, and, you know, I thought the teen, or, spoiler alerts, Billy, as we learn, I thought he was probably my favorite character from the entire show. Aubrey Plaza is great as well as Death. But yeah, not much to say. It's a good show. The ending twist I didn't love it because it's like, oh, this really wasn't going anywhere, you know, but I'm gonna give it a B. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Well, this was a long time. This feels like, no, this was like February, I think, of 2024. I'm gonna give this one a C because it's not terrible, but it really misses the point of Avatar. For those that don't know, Avatar: The Last Airbender is like my favorite show, maybe my second, but it's just an infinitely rewatchable show. I feel, yeah, it's a Nickelodeon kids show, but it's very dark and mature for a Nickelodeon kids show, and it's for all ages. And it's got, like, such great characters. Like, Aang has such a great arc, Zuko has such a great arc, and the Netflix live-action Netflix series, I mean, it's better than the M. Night Shyamalan movie, but I would hope that this show is better than one of the worst adaptations of all time, you know? There's a lot of stuff where, like, the show tells you things instead of showing you things, you know, like, you know how they tell you, like, show, don't tell? Not this movie. This movie likes to tell us a lot. And we also don't do, like, the side adventures. Aang doesn't go on his side adventures, which I guess, in a way, is a good idea to keep it more streamlined, but at the same time, you don't really flesh out Aang that well. And they made changes to the show, which obviously makes sense, you know, you don't want to adapt it completely, like, the same, but, they made certain changes where it kind of feels like, well, you kind of just missed the point, you know. Sokka, for example, who's, you know, he was sexist in the original show, but it was in a way where it's like he learned and grew from that, you know, where, like, he had an arc to respect women, you know. In this show, they kind of just completely forget that, you know, he's not sexist at all, and it's just, again, it misses the point. So yeah, C tier, if they, I think I heard that, like, they're doing another season, and, they are going to change, like, there's new showrunners or writers or something like that. If that's the case, then I'd like to see, like, another crack being taken at this. But, yeah, not, like, it's a good show, but should have been so much better. The first show, and how do I rank these? We got Chucky Season 3, Part 2. I guess, like, how do I rank these? It's for, like, half seasons, you know what I mean? So, and I'll rank those within the tier. Chucky Season 3 Part 2 was, you know, they shot, like, a good chunk of Season 3, and then the Hollywood strikes happened, so they're only able to release the first half of Season 3 back in, October 2023. And then they finished the second half of the episodes, so they put that out in, like, April or May of 2024, which is weird, like, Chucky in May. And this was probably my favorite season, and, they did interesting things, like Chucky's dying, like, he's actually growing old, and Chucky being in the White House, despite, like, it's just not believable that Chucky would find himself in the White House when the White House is supposed to be like the most secure place in the entire world, probably. But my issues is this show always fucking does this. They set stuff up, they have like a big twist reveal, like a big thing where like a character is now, whoa, turns out this character is this, and then they completely kill that character off, or they'll completely just like disregard or end the plot line that they just like had a twist for, you know what I mean? And that's frustrating. I've had this complaint every single season, and they just keep doing it, you know what I mean? And it is unfortunate that the show got canceled, but at the same time, I kind of felt like, you know, I think I've had enough of the Chucky series, you know? I don't know if I'm really like starving for another one. You know, it is unfortunate that there were plans for a 4th season, but then that got canceled. Like, that's really unfortunate. But at the same time, I don't know if I was gonna watch the 4th season anyways. Here's a show I've never talked about. Smiling Friends. I'm gonna give this show an A tier, maybe even an S, we'll see. Maybe I'll put it up there, but at the very least, top of A. So, okay, so I watched both seasons of Smiling Friends, like, kind of together. So, I mean, I don't really, like, it's hard for me to really, like, separate the 2 seasons, but this show is just so good. It's just, like, it's such just a bunch of nonsense that happens. You know, you got Pim and Charlie, and then Alan and Glep and the boss. The boss is purposely just a fucking weird character. This show's great. What can I tell you? It's so funny. I can't tell you how many times I laughed at this show, and I've rewatched so many of the episodes so many times. I love this show. You go watch Smiling Friends if you haven't already. Secret Level. Oh, I don't think I finished this show. I think there's like 2 episodes I still need to watch, but like 2 out of 15 episodes I haven't watched. So I think I'm perfectly able to put this on the list. And just like Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's good, not great. I'm gonna put it in C. What determines where this show places is, like, what episodes hit, what episodes don't hit, you know? If you don't know what Secret Level is, it's this video game anthology series where it's, like, some what-if scenarios, or maybe just, like, you know, a quick little adaptation of a game. There's one for Dungeons and Dragons, which isn't a game, but whatever. Like, not a video game, whatever. Sifu, there's Armored Core, there's Outer Worlds, Mega Man, Pac-Man, you know, fucking Concord gets in there, which is really funny that Concord is in there. Here's the thing. Some of the episodes are great. I really love the Sifu episode, because that one, yeah, it was just an adaptation of the game, but it was just non-stop action. Like, it was great. And it reminded me, like, damn, Sifu was such a great game. The Pac-Man one was fucked up, but I feel like that's kind of a good thing, it's a good thing that they took, like, this weird take on Pac-Man, and now it seems like they're making a game based off of this episode, almost. I like the Outer Worlds episode. I like the Exodus episode, even though Exodus is probably not a game we're getting to, like, 2028 or some shit. Armored Core was great. I really like the Unreal Tournament one, but you get other episodes, like, for example, Crossfire. Like, first of all, why Crossfire? And second of all, the amount of times the fucking characters said, "We're not the bad guys," like, I actually fucking drove me crazy. Like, say something else, please. And there are 2 more episodes I need to watch, and I'm still probably gonna watch them. There's still, Honor of Kings, which is a game I've never played, and honestly never heard of before this. And there's Playtime, which is supposed to be, like, a PlayStation crossover episode, which sounds awesome, but from what I heard, it's kind of the worst episode of the whole show, from what I heard. But either way, like, the episodes that are great, you know. There's the New World one. The New World one is great, but I feel like the reason why it's in C, because I just named you a bunch of really good episodes, the reason it's in C is because I feel like they didn't really have a lasting impression on me, you know? Like, the Sifu one did, sure. And the New World one, the Armored Core one, some of those that did leave a lasting impression, but it's not that many out of 15, you know? And the Mega Man one, god damn it, dude. Mega Man's like one of my favorite game franchises. And like, once it was about to get really good, the episode ended. So yeah, Knuckles, I'm gonna put that in D. This is a spin-off of the Sonic movies, and look, I love Knuckles, both in the games and in the movies, but I hate to say this, but this isn't the Knuckles show, it's the Wade Whipple show. Wade's not like a terrible character, I didn't hate him, even though he is kind of written to be a little pathetic, but he's not, I don't hate him, but I came to a Knuckles show to watch Knuckles do some cool stuff, you know, but it's not, the show's not about Knuckles, it's about Wade. Knuckles plays the role of, like, Wade's mentor, as Wade is training for, like, a bowling tournament, you know what I mean? Like, that's not at all what I came to see. And then also, this feels a bit more kiddie, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like the Sonic movies, yeah, they're for kids, but they feel like anyone can enjoy them. This kind of feels more like it was made for kids. It feels like a Nickelodeon show, and not in the best way. Also, you have Wade's sister in the show, who just, like, is some comedian, like, played by some comedian, and she's just riffing lines the whole time, and they're not funny. They're honestly annoying. And whenever it cut to her, and she was talking at all, I wanted to turn off the show. It's not a terrible show. It's only in D tier, you know? If it was terrible, it'd at least be an E. But, you know, this is not at all what I came to see a Knuckles show for. Arcane Season 2. A lot of people feel like this is a disappointment, you know? I don't think so. I think it's an S tier, and I think it's just as good as Season 1. I'm not saying it's better, but I feel like it is just as good. My god, like, the writers of Arcane, and they're not done with this world. Like, this was the final season, but they're gonna do more stories in this world, and please, like, I do not care about League of Legends in terms of, like, playing it, but I guess I do now. But no, not in terms of playing it. I'm not playing League of Legends. But this show manages to expand the world and expand the lore, you know, and, like, because Season 1 did a great job at that. And, like, it was originally, like, not canon, but then it was so good that, like, apparently Riot Games were just like, no, we have to make this canon now. And this expands it from that, you know? And the character arcs, like, you get Jinx, and her character arc is great, and Vi and Caitlyn, Victor, like, what they do with Victor is fucking crazy. You know, if you haven't watched Arcane, you have to watch it. It's so good. Echo. That's right, it did come out in 2024. It came out, like, at the very beginning. In fact, I think at this point, like, we've like, passed a year since it's come out. It's an E tier. Like, this is, like, 5 episodes all dropped on the same day, and they're so forgettable. Like, maybe it's the fact that I watched them over a year ago, but I don't think that's it, because even, like, right after I was done, I just, like, I couldn't tell you anything, you know? I guess there's, like, some interesting things they set up, but no, I just not good, you know? And they had stuff with the Kingpin, where he gets shot at the end of Hawkeye, and we all knew he was gonna come back, but, like, so you have him get shot in the eye, and then you have him come back? Now it's like, you know, oh, so it's really is, like, no one actually dies in the MCU. You know, you could have had him get shot in, like, the chest where he can easily survive, you know? But no, in the eye, like, you don't survive that. Or at the very least, you have a very small chance at surviving that. But yeah, other than that, I don't remember anything from this show. Mr. McMahon. This one is a crazy one. It's a documentary series about Vince McMahon, you know, the, at least, former owner of WWE. Doesn't own it anymore, but, it's basically about him and, like, his time as, like, the owner, ruling, like, this big wrestling company, and, like, how he got to that point, and, the many scandals and controversies he's dealt with. This was said to be, like, a grade A burial of Vince McMahon. You know, like, everything came out saying, like, this is supposed to make Vince McMahon look as bad as humanly possible. And people are not, like, people within WWE and Vince McMahon himself are not happy about it. Vince McMahon tried to, like, buy the documentary and destroy it. And after watching, it's like, really? Like, Vince McMahon tried to destroy this? I mean, like, it does, let's make it clear, it does not paint him in a good light at all. But I feel like they could have gone harder. And to be fair, to their credit, a good chunk of this was filmed back in, like, 2021. You know, 2022 is when, like, that Wall Street article came out. And 2024 is when all those other lawsuits came out that actually led him to, like, fuck off for good. But still, I feel like this is an entertaining watch, but also, like, if you are a wrestling fan and you're familiar with all this stuff, you're not really learning anything new. There might be, like, some tidbits you find out about that you might not have heard of before, but nothing, like, that new. So, I think it's a B. I enjoyed watching it. I binged it in a day, and it was entertaining. But yeah, I don't really know. It's a fine show. It's really cool to see, like, a very highly, like, you know, a high budget, you know, or I don't know about high budget, but like a big production of, like, a WWE related series. Maybe we can see more of that. But yeah, other than that, it's good, but yeah, not much else. Alright, this next one is interesting. Cobra Kai Season 6. Part 1 and Part 2. We'll talk about Part 1. They were all released in 3 different parts. And I would rank the whole season, but, like, you know, Part 1 and Part 2 came out in 2024. Part 3 is coming out in, like, about a month. So yeah, they're gonna have to go into how do I rank these. But even still, I don't know how high it would rank, because Season 6, so far, isn't their strongest batch of episodes. Like, okay, another thing I gotta tell you about Cobra Kai is it's one of my favorite shows. In fact, of all the shows that have not been concluded that are still kind of going right now, Cobra Kai is my favorite. Like, there's just something about it, man, that's just so entertaining and so, like, relatable. I have a whole video essay about it that I made, like, 3 years ago that is kind of starting to blow up with views now, which is bizarre, but thanks for watching that. But the issue with Season 6, we're talking about Part 1. Part 1 in particular, a lot of people are saying that it's reached its natural endpoint, and to a degree, I think that is true. If you make some minor tweaks with Season 5, remove the setup of the Sekai Taikai completely from that, and, like, change up the finale a bit, I think Season 5 works perfectly as a series finale. But they did set some stuff up, and most importantly, they set up the Sekai Taikai, which is the World Tournament. And so I did always want to see a payoff for that. You have a lot of the main conflicts that have already been resolved, so you kind of have to force some conflict between, specifically, Daniel and Johnny, you know. I feel like Sam and Tori, they have some conflict, but it's different, you know. It's different of them, like, yeah, they're teaming with each other, they don't hate each other anymore, but it's like, we still have all this, like, history between each other that we haven't worked out. And also, Miguel and Robbie, they don't really beef at all, you know, not in the ways they did in the past, but Johnny and Daniel, man, like, that felt forced. And I will say, like, I don't think there's a bad episode of this show, but Season 6 Part 1 has to have some of the worst episodes of the entire show. Like, even the frat fight, like, that was probably the worst episode, because there's, like, there's some plot lines in there that kind of go nowhere. There's a fight that is just not good. It was nice to see, like, the Binary Brothers and Miguel team up with Kyler, you know, but, like, the music, I think it was the music, like, that did not help the fight at all. And yeah, look, I still love it because it's Cobra Kai, but, not one of the stronger set of episodes. What is one of the stronger set of episodes, at least in comparison to Part 1, is Part 2. This is, like, now we're at the tournament, so it's a little different. You know, Season 6 Part 1 was, like, kind of a weird, you know, lull where it's like you had this big epic finale in season 5, but you're now gearing up for the big tournament, but you can't quite get there yet. So you have to build up to that for a few episodes. But now we're there, and I honestly believe, had they given more episodes to the Sekai Taikai, had these 5 episodes been spread out a little more than just 5 episodes, which I know isn't quite possible because of the way they structured the season. Had the Sekai Taikai be more than these 5 episodes, I feel like this could have possibly been better. In fact, perhaps like higher up with seasons of Cobra Kai. Yes, it's the final season, but they're still finding ways to introduce new characters, and these new characters are pretty cool. Like, you got the Iron Dragons with, like, their Sensei Wolf, and you got Axel and Zara, and also you got Cobra Kai. You got, what's his face? You got Quan, and the finale, despite on a story aspect, I don't think the final fight really working the best. Like, oh my god, it was insane. But the reason why I say, like, the episode count, like, of this part hurt it is because you have certain things. Like, for example, you have Johnny and Sensei Wolf, who are, like, I guess Sensei Wolf can be Johnny's, like, new rival. They had, like, 2 interactions for the whole 5 episodes, and then in the finale, they meet again, and it's like, oh boy, here we go. But it's like, they've had like 2 interactions before this. But overall, I still love Cobra Kai, and I still watch both of these parts many times. But yeah, the other seasons are better. I've talked about Cobra Kai for a while, so we gotta move on. X-Men 97. Another show that I will put in S tier. Man, like, how they pull this off. Like, this is a continuation of X-Men, the animated series, and that show concluded and everything, but it just stayed relevant for years, possibly being even more relevant now than it was like when it aired. And it's just, X-Men 97 manages to take the original series and just continue it and progress these characters more and give them like new arcs. And I'm not gonna say who, but they even managed to kill off a couple of characters, like a couple of characters from the original show, and it's like, well, they really did that. So yeah, honestly, even if you haven't watched the original animated series, I feel like you gotta watch X-Men 97. There may be a few episodes that you would understand better if you had watched the original series, but X-Men 97 is like the best Marvel thing in a while, I feel. Fallout. I'm not going to give it an S, but I'm going to give it a strong A. This has to be one of the best video game adaptations. Like really. It respects the... I'm not the biggest fan of Fallout. Like, nothing against them. I just haven't played too many. I played New Vegas. New Vegas is great. I played a little bit of 3, but not a whole lot, and a little bit of 4, but not a whole lot. But New Vegas is the one I'm most familiar with, but even then, like, they had some New Vegas elements, but still, like, you get characters like Lucy, and the way her character is written is very interesting. She has almost, like, this very naive worldview, like, she's a vault dweller, so she's in her own world with a bunch of other people, and she doesn't see, like, all the horrible shit going on in the rest of the world. So when she sees it, she just has this naive perspective on it, which I thought was interesting. And then you have, like, the Ghoul, played by Walton Goggins, who's great, of course. And, of course, like, the visuals of the show, like, it looks like, Fallout, like, and it looks great. And the stuff with Maximus, I thought the stuff with Maximus was like, you kind of get 3 different characters that we follow throughout the show. Like, mainly 3 different characters. There's also other characters we follow. There's the Ghoul, there's Lucy, and there's Maximus. Maximus, I thought, was, like, the weakest of the 3. But still, Fallout, I thought, was great. Invincible Season 2, Part 2. Again, I have to put that in how do I rank these. I think this is the last one in that, though. So, I guess I'll put them in order. So, it's Invincible Season 2, Part 2. Then Cobra Kai, Part 6... or Season 6, Part 1. No, Part 2, sorry. Then Part 1, and then Chucky, Season 3. That's the ranking of how do I rank these. Yeah, Season 2 of Invincible, I thought was, like, maybe just as good, if not better than season 1, because after the events of season 1, where, you know, we find out, or we kind of always knew, you know, but after Mark and the whole world finds out who Omni-Man really is, and as Omni-Man is about to, like, you know, he's fighting Invincible, but then decides not to kill him, and he leaves Earth, when he's supposed to be conquering Earth. We kind of have, like, the, you know, the aftermath of that. You know what I mean? Because now it's like, Mark and his mom, they're kind of, like, grieving. You know, it's almost like they lost, like, the father of the family. And on top of that, we see kind of, like, some other ramifications, where it's like, Omni-Man was supposed to, conquer Earth, but he didn't. So now it's like, oh, he's getting punished here. And even the stuff with Mark, who's invincible if you don't know, the stuff with Mark and Amber, his girlfriend, which I thought was by far the weakest part of the first season. You know, the way that was written, like, it's just like, fuck this girl. You know, the way that was written in the first season. But even that in season 2 I thought was way better. The only big issue with this is honestly the fact that it got split up into 2 seasons or 2 parts for no reason, and it just stalled the momentum of the show, of the season. But other than that, like, it's a masterpiece, and I cannot wait for season 3. The Acolyte. Oh my god, this hurts so much, but the Acolyte is an F tier. Look, I love Star Wars, and I really wanted this show to be good. It had so much potential, telling a story from thousands of years ago, you know, way before any of the Star Wars movies or shows that we've seen. Have it be about the Sith and like the creation of the Sith. Like, I just thought that was such an interesting idea. You know, and showing, like, the cracks when the cracks first started to show for the Jedi. I thought I was so excited for this. But holy shit, why did they hire these writers? The writing in the show is awful. Remember how I mentioned for, like, Chucky, where they set things up and then they either don't pay them off, or they, like, kind of do a bait and switch, or they just pay them off so terribly? Well, that's the case tenfold for the Acolyte. Within one of the first episodes, they set up a fight with a Wookiee Jedi. Like, how cool is that? A Wookiee Jedi. And then our main character finds the Wookiee Jedi, and he's fucking dead. He dies off screen. There's also, like, an interesting murder mystery thing going on. Like, that's what was also said to be happening. But the murder mystery gets solved within, like, what, the 2nd episode? You know, it's just characters' motivations flip on a dime, you know? And also, it wastes so many characters, or it wastes so many actors, you know? Like, Daphne Keane is in this, and I forget that she was in this, because she's fucking wasted. Lee Jung-jae is in this. This is his first, like, English-speaking role. You know, he learned English for this role, and he's good. He's, like, the best actor in this. And the way the show ends is, like, you know, it just doesn't work. It's bad. This show is bad. Look, people like this show, and more power to you. I wish I could like this, but fuck this show. Seriously, like, this is really bad. Hey, I just mentioned Lee Jung-jae, you know, best known for Squid Game, probably. I'd say he's best known for Squid Game. Speaking of him, and speaking of Squid Game, next up is Squid Game Season 2. Look, I was of the opinion that Squid Game Season 1, with some minor issues, like, I feel like the ending twist kind of reshapes the whole season, but not in the best way. The stuff with the VIPs, if you cut those out, I think you got a 10 out of 10 season. And it didn't need a Season 2, you know what I mean? Like, with some tweaks, I feel like Season 1 could have been a limited series. But, you know, it was way too big to be, like, a limited series. So they made a 2nd season, and I'm gonna give it a B. But I think high B. In fact, no, I'm gonna give it an A, because I think it's definitely much better than Agatha and Mr. McMahon, despite those 2 shows also being really good. They do interesting things with this, where we follow Gi-yoon after, like, you know, the events of Season 1, and you know, one of my biggest questions at the end of season 1 was, how did the front man know that Gi-hun was about to board a plane, you know? And whenever I brought that up in conversation, they were like, oh, who knows, who cares? Kind of like undermined that almost, but it's like, no, I think that's a very interesting question, and they kind of answered that, like, that's the first thing they answered. Another thing is, you know, I'd say that this takes place like 4 years after the first season. We kind of follow Gi-hun as he's, you know, trying to take down this corporation, you know, this evil, like, game. And there's twists and all that. There's a lot of tragic stuff that happens. We actually get to follow a lot of characters, and there's a lot of characters in this, you know. And the way it ends is very interesting. My only issue is this felt like half of a season, you know? This didn't feel like season 2, this felt like season 2 part 1, and then we're gonna get season 2 part 2. But no, we're getting season 3. Because the way this show ends, it leaves a bunch of stuff unresolved. In fact, basically everything is left unresolved. So it really is a season split into 2. I think this is a really solid season. Next up, this one's weird. Skeleton Crew. Star Wars Skeleton Crew. And I'm not like the show is weird. I mean, like, it's a weird one to rank because it's not done yet. You know, there's still one more episode at the time of recording to air. But the reason why I'm not going to put it in how do I rank these is because there's one more episode, you know, and also, well, like 6 out of the 8 episodes that have come out for this show were from 2024, so I feel like I could put this on here. And I'm also going to put this in A tier. I really needed something good Star Wars related after The Acolyte. But this is a very interesting look at Star Wars. It's a very, like, unique, you know, it's like Goonies, but Star Wars, you know? We're following, like, these kids, and they find themselves in a, like, a hidden and buried, like, ship. And then they end up, like, taking off. And they handle in situations that only kids would handle these situations, you know what I mean? And they're all very entertaining, you know? Neil is, I feel like, the standout. Like, you gotta love Neil. And also, you have Jod, played by Jude Law, who it took me a while to really, like, grow on, you know what I mean? But he grew on me. Like, and not, like, throughout the season. I mean, like, there's something revealed about him that I didn't love at first, but, like, now I do. I don't want to say much more about it because we don't have the whole season done, but we have most of it done, and most of it came out last year, so I think it should be eligible for this list. But even still, I think it's an A tier. And lastly, Who Killed WCW? Yes, I'm throwing this on here. This is like a mini documentary series on Vice, made by the people who did Dark Side of the Ring, which I have ranked on these rankings a few times. It's a perfectly fine show. It's a perfectly fine documentary. Not much to say about it. It is funny because you have, like, the same few people blaming everyone else for the failure of WCW, except for them, you know, and I think that is an interesting topic, like, because for those that don't know, WCW was a competitor to WWE, for years, and they kind of whooped their ass for a while, and then they just started declining, and then the shows got really bad, and then they got bought out by WWE. You know, I think that's a very interesting, like, downfall, like, rise and fall of, like, a corporation. And yes, I feel like this show does touch on that, but not, I feel like, in the best way. I feel like it could have done it a little better, and they kind of missed the point a lot when, like, trying to interview each other, and it's just, like, a bunch of guys are saying this about this guy and this about this guy, and it's just like, okay, what's happening here? I'm gonna give it a B. It's a fine show. And yeah, that is my ranking of every show I saw from 2024 ranked, but it's not in order yet, so I'm gonna put it in order. Alright, so here's the order. First of all, with how do I rank these? These are like this the part seasons, you know what I mean? From worst to best, we got Chucky Season 3 Part 2, Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 1, Cobra Kai Season 6 Part 2, and Invincible Season 2 Part 2. Now, for the entire shows, plus Skeleton Crew, because that's not done yet, but still, we got, from worst to best, The Acolyte, Echo, Knuckles, Avatar The Last Airbender, Secret Level, Who Killed WCW, Mr. McMahon, Agatha All Along, Star Wars Skeleton Crew, Squid Game Season 2, Smiling Friends Season 2, Fallout, X-Men 97, and Arcane Season 2. You may have noticed there's a few shows on here that I didn't mention that were widely acclaimed. Shows like Shogun and The Penguin. I haven't gotten around to watching those yet. I really want to, I just haven't gotten around to them. But hopefully sometime this year I will. But either way, yeah, that is my ranking of every show from 2024. In a tier list, ranked from worst to best. What are some of your favorite shows from 2024? Let me know down below. And what are you looking forward to in 2025? Let me know down below. Anyways, be sure to like this video, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!